2, 1. Cool. Anyway, thanks for helping us out. So at the beginning of this thing, we had to discuss our Russian skills. And so right now we're ready to discuss our moving out skills. And if you guys want to activate your mics and all that good stuff, you can. I don't usually activate my camera because it usually slows up the bandwidth anyway. So we've broadcasted, and so what I want you to do is you guys take over a notepad, student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It should hopefully follow. And tell me why you picked the one that you did. Oh, nice. I like that you put your name there first, too. So we've got Melissa there and Tanya. I hope I said your name right. Oh, nice. No, if I was going to pick one, I would have picked 6. It's my favorite number. So Katie Beth was trying to steal mine. No, she wasn't. She's stealing her own. Okay, so I like Melissa's answer, and actually I like all of your answers, but let's kind of talk about them real quick. So Melissa picked the apartment in Aurora because it's larger and it's a smaller price. So I think those are both really good answers, and she also doesn't really like Denver. And so those are some good reasons. Tanya picked Aurora because you don't just pay rent, you have other bills. So she's also paying attention to the other bills that we're going to have when we move out. And I like that. I love city life, which is a flat out lie. And I'm working downtown, which is another one. So that's another lie, by the way. And so I picked Denver, even though it's smaller. So maybe those would be reasons why you would pick Denver, was because you're working downtown and you like city life. I have a friend of mine who does, and I think she's crazy, but that's okay. We're still friends. And then Miriam, I liked what you picked because it's larger space and the rent each month is less. Um, and you like living in Aurora better. And Katie Beth, she lives in a studio for 620 and electric is 70. So that's good to know. My electric is 110, but we run a house fan every day.
Our bathroom has 2 compartments. The one where you has the sink, and then the one where there's just the bathroom.
Okay, that's nice. So like there's the toilet spot. Now, if you go to most other countries and you ask them to use the bathroom, they'll show you the room that has the bath in it. And there'll be a room that has a toilet in it. So you need to ask for the toilet versus the bathroom. Anyway, there's some culture events that you need to know. Otherwise, you're not going to get where you want to go. Okay, so the next part that I want you to do is I want you to think of when you move out, and maybe some of you are there, what do you need to take in consideration when looking for a place to live? So you can delete what you've written, or you can try to snag student 1 and student 5 place, but I like just deleting what I've already written. So what are some of the other factors that, if you're to advise people of moving out, what to consider? Okay, so oh, Melissa, the monthly rent should be something that you can afford because in the future you wouldn't have problems with money. I like that. Tanya, you shouldn't rent something that looks great. You shouldn't rent something that looks great but can't afford. You should always calculate your monthly expenses and how much you would make a month. Oh, I like that one. So you pay attention to how much you're making. You also realize that you don't want to go broke, and then Miriam, the monthly rent price and how much money you make at your current job and how large the place is and the environment. Nice. And then Katie Beth was monthly expenses can need to be calculated, and then rent, food, other things also need to be calculated and put into consideration. So let's think about a student because you've all mentioned that we need to be able to afford the place that we live. What if student one makes $10 an hour and they have a full-time job? So how much money do you think they should spend on rent? How much money would they make in a month? So let's look at how much money they'd make in a month. So just come up with your number of how much money they would make in a
Wait,
month.
what was it?
So looking at student one at the top box, they make $10 an hour. Let's make that really big. Let's change colors. Oh, change colors. Let's make it bigger. Okay, so how much rent should they spend? So we're at student one at the top in the middle. Somebody makes $10 an hour. How much should they
But
spend on rent?
how many hours do they work a week?
It's going to be full time.
Okay. So 7 hours a week, or 12 hours a week, pretty much, for 7 days.
It'd be 40 hours. That's full time.
For a whole day. There's no 40 hours.
8 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
8 hours a day. Full time is 40 hours per week. And then we'll go off of a 4 week equals 1 month. That's not true, but that's what we're going to say. Because sometimes it's better to shoot a little bit lower than to shoot higher for exactly for what Miriam was, I think what Miriam was saying. No, Tanya was saying you don't want to go broke. So sometimes it's better to calculate a little bit less. So how much would they make in a month given it 4 weeks? Okay. So we're making 1,600 a month. Okay. So with that number, what would you suggest they come for rent?
Oh, they make more than 1,600.
A little bit more.
A lot more.
No, you're going off of 7 days. Where'd you get the 10 and 8 and the 80 and 7?
10 hours a week times. Right.
So it's 8 hours on a 5 day
$10 an
week.
hour, so you work 8 hours a day.
Okay.
10.
And then we're going to times it by
8.
5, not 7, because we're only going to work 5 days. We're going to have weekends off. And then that will get you to where we are too. So 5 days a week. Yeah. So how much do you think we should spend on rent? Let's think through that. And remember, that's gross. That's before taxes and before anything else comes out. Six to 800, 700, 700. And Katie Beth, what's your suggestion for rent? $900? So is that going to be yours? Okay. So, and I like that you guys are putting numbers out there. I appreciate that you're willing to, give me numbers, hoping what I'm seeking for. The suggested is this. 25 to 30% of gross. So while we're thinking about that, let's go to working out a problem. Okay, so 25 to 35, 25, not to 35, 25 to 30% of gross income. I like to stay a little bit lower myself, but that's probably about what I do as well, which by the way would only be about $400 to $500 in this. Oh, we need to go back on this one. Okay, so here's a story. Melina, or I don't know how to say her name. Melina has a gross biweekly income of $2,200. By the way, she's making pretty good money. What does biweekly income mean anyway?
Every other week.
So she's getting paid every 2 weeks. Yeah. She pays 18% in federal and state taxes, puts aside 10% of her income to pay off her school loans. She puts 5% of her income aside for savings. She's considering an apartment that rents for $1,200 per month. Is the monthly rental fee within the recommended 25 to 30% of her gross income housing expense range? So, yes or no isn't a good enough answer for me. It'll be yes because 25% of her gross income equals this and 30% equals this. But some other considerations is how much does she make a month if she's making this every other week? And you know, I'll be honest, when my husband was getting paid every other week, I would just multiply the 2,200 by 2 and count that as my monthly and go woohoo the other paychecks that we'd get. Because what this actually means is there are 26 pay periods. Because how many weeks are in a year? Anybody? Bueller? How many weeks are in a year?
40. No. About 48. 52.
52 weeks. Okay, so if there's 52 weeks in a year, what I want you to do is I want you to convert her biweekly income into a annual salary, and then we'll break it down per month. Does that make sense? No?
Hmm?
How much does she make a year? So let's break that out. I should have set this up a little bit differently. What's her total income for a year? Because that's the number we're going to need to start working with. Is that what you got?
2,200 times 22, right?
Okay.
Right?
No.
Times 26?
Times 26. I think Tanya got it. Thank you, Tanya.
I don't have a notebook with me.
Okay, so that's per year. So how much is she going to get paid per month? Um, Even though, okay, so I'm just gonna wait. How much does she get paid per month? I need to have more patience.
Patience is a virtue.
It's one I don't have.
20 months or a year.
12.
What?
It's always good to know those answers. Okay. So anybody who's willing to take over the mic and explain how they got their answer or why they went that way? Nobody? Please? Now?
Because there is 12 months in a year, and the weekly pay altogether in a year divided by the 12 months would equal the pay per month.
Okay. Thank you. So if I look at Miriam's answer, 4,400, that is how I personally calculate my stuff, because then that what actually happens is sometime in July I get an extra paycheck and I go, woohoo, this doesn't go towards bills. And in December I get an extra paycheck and I go, woohoo, this doesn't go towards bills,
Lucky.
but everything else does. But that's because I calculate on a lower base. But the actual base, the real base would be 4,766.
Ooh, can I make a problem?
67. Did I lose my 7 there? I lost my 7. I got it back. No, I didn't. Did I get it? I
I'm
got
gonna
it.
write a problem in Word.
What's your problem?
Sorry, I'm writing my box.
Okay, so based off of this, so our actual number that we have is 4,766. What would be the 25% of it? Okay, what would be the 25% or the, and also I want you to figure out the 30% of it. Good, Miriam, that's the right way to set it up. And Tanya, I'm seeing a number, but I don't know how you got it. I'm thinking it might be the right one, but I'm just not sure how you got it. Can you let me know if you did, like, what you got to get to the 1191? I'm guessing it's what Melissa did over there. Oh, okay. Sorry, take him. She's got $460. Okay, so I like what you guys are doing. Um, Miriam, I'm glad you put what you put on there, because in this last unit that we were doing where we were multiplying a lot of things by 5% or 2%, the decimal conversion wasn't working. So this is 0.25, because we got to move the decimal 2 places, so from a 5 forward 2 places. So that's the decimal conversion, and then we're going to multiply it by 4766, which will come to oops, back up, 1191. Okay. And so, good job. You guys came up with it. And Miriam, I'm glad that you did that. But you need to get rid of the 2 zeros. Um, Sometimes we put a bunch of extra zeros. And when I responded to your assignments, I let you know, and I did highlights. I was hoping the highlights come through. Because 5% is 0.05, not 0.005. Okay, so what is the 30% window?
Where does the 30%
It's just, remember when I told you, it's just the range that they recommend for your housing costs, expenses, if you make X amount of money. So like on the other story, we made 16.
So 114,400 times 0.3.
No, it'd be your gross amount again. It'd be the 4,766 times 0.3. So we get, because we're just looking for the range for the window of apartment shopping. If you want to, because some people want to spend the most that they can. So they want to look at the top number, the 30%. Whereas me, I'm like, oh, well, that's what I could afford. Oh, well, let's chop off a couple hundred. That's what I do. When we went and looked for a house, we could qualify for X amount. And I was just like, oh, let's chop off a
See,
couple
when we
hundred
were when we
grand.
were going for an apartment, it required you to make X amount of money. But we
Yeah,
only made about
some of it.
75% of that.
Okay.
So we made a couple calls, got some people to make us some stuff when we made it in. The thing is,
Nice.
we had enough to pay rent, but we didn't have enough for food.
And that is pretty critical. So can people get you in for higher amounts? They can, but then you've got the other expenses, and that's why there's that recommended window, 25 to 30% of your gross
But
income,
see, the thing is, there are no kids around.
unless you have lots of kids.
And
Oh, where you're living?
it's a no pet complex too. So
Okay. Yeah, I need a no pet complex. So good job, guys. So does that kind of make sense? Anybody have any questions on that? So based on her expenses, can she make her monthly payments? And so we'd look at, she wants to put 5% of her income away, 10% student loans, 18, close to 20% in federal taxes. I always do 20%. She's probably at least in the 20% one. So you want to look at the whole picture. And we're kind of running out of time, and I wanted to get to one last question, I think. Let's go backwards. Let's do this one. Let's make this your little exit ticket. Jessica's financial advisor believes that she should spend no more than 28% of her income. So this is where she calculated her number from. She's determined that the amount is 14,000. Oh, that'd be cool. 1,400 per month. There are people who pay 14,000 per month, but 1,400 per month. Based on this amount and her advisor's recommendation, what was her annual salary? So first off, you need to find her monthly salary from what her recommendation is, and then go to her annual salary.
isn't her monthly salary 1,400?
No, that's how much she can afford for rent. So kind of going back here, if it stayed up, it did stay up. See how this window is 11, almost 1,200 to 1,430? So that was based off of a annual income of 57. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to use a number 28% to find out what her annual income is. So what do you guys think?
So maybe 2,000 times 0.28.
What'd you say?
2,000 times 0.28.
And what would that give us?
Um, 560.
Okay, so that would be if that was what she made, but that's not. So we got to find something more. So we could guess and check. That's not a bad idea.
Wait. 28% of her gross money income. Oh, yeah.
So tell me how you're thinking to get to the rent fee. Like, how do we get, let's come back 2 screens or just one. What did we do in order to get to the 1991? Because you guys all deleted your stuff, so now I don't have it anymore. But tell me how you got to the 1991. Or 1191, not 1991,
Wasn't it
1191.
like the total monthly income times 0.25?
Okay, let's kind of remember that then. So I'm going to delete this stuff. Cheap, gone.
25% of it went to someplace.
So you took total monthly.
Unless it was her total paycheck.
There's the monthly. Remember, we had to adjust total monthly
Right.
times our rate. And what did it equal? Our rent. So what part do we know?
None.
No, we know something. What parts do we know? We know the rent. What should the rent be?
1400.
Got it. What else do we know?
That the 28% is the 1400.
We know that the rate is 0.28, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what don't we know?
The monthly income.
Yeah, so how can I solve for that monthly income?
1400 divided by 0.28.
Got it. So what'd you get?
5,000.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Right, I went that amount. If I went back to my old job, I'd make more than that, but
Really?
uh,
Had that
I don't
potential?
like walking around through rain and stuff.
Okay, so if your monthly income is 5,000, which is a really cool number, what's your annual income? Annual salary.
Oh, what yearly? Okay. 60,000.
Yeah. Okay. So then once you guys got that, then great. And so the rest of this week, we're going to be working with the housing stuff and square feet. And some of you kind of have that concept anyway of getting more for your money as far as square feet goes and price. And so I think you'll do well. If you have any questions, call me, text me, email me. Fridays, I can usually be kind of flexible as to where I show up. And then I think we're good. Does anybody have any questions?
What's the answer to this?
Oh yeah, Katie Beth has a question, so answer your stuff. Miss Elliott's typing something too. Say hi, Miss Elliott.
Hi.
Student makes $8.50 an hour. Oh, Leah Fox just came in. Hi, Leah. Oh, you changed it. It used to be $60 in tips. Okay, so everybody else, you're good to go, but Katie Beth has to have this problem worked out. So we're going to work it out, but the webinar is technically done. So I'm going to